today we're going to work on fractions that are unlike fractions, which would mean they just have different denominators. I'm sorry.
What you asked me to do?
Nothing.
She told me to start the video.
Oh, that's good. You're good.
No, that's okay. So today we're doing adding and subtracting unlike fractions, which means we have to find a common denominator. When you're finding a common denominator, you want the least common denominator because then it helps when you simplify at the end. Then you don't have to reduce it so many times. So if it says the table shows the fractions of 1 hour for certain minutes, right? What fraction of 1 hour is equal to the sum of 15 minutes and 20 minutes? So I just have to write this as a fraction. I would write this as 15 out of, how many minutes are in an hour? 60. So 15 60ths. Plus 20 minutes would be 20 60ths. Then I add it up and I get 35 60ths. But we want to reduce. Okay? So let's look over at this chart. The number of minutes would be 5 minutes, so the fraction of 1 hour would be 5 60ths. But we can reduce that to, what are we going to reduce it by? 5. Show me that you are reducing all of these. Every time we reduce, I need to see that you're reducing. So that becomes 12. What can I reduce 10 60ths by?
10.
Okay, show me that, please. Show that it is dividing by 10 over 10, which would be 6. 15 60ths.
15.
Very good, we're going to reduce by 15. So 15 divided by 15 is 1. 60 divided by 15 is 4. And then 20 60ths, what are we going to reduce that by?
20.
20. And it does not take much time to show what you're reducing by. And then it reduces down to 1/3.
Yeah, you still have one more.
Okay, yeah, we'll scroll up in just a second. So then we have 30 60ths. And what does that reduce to? You guys can probably kind of figure this.
1/2.
1/2. You divide it by 30, and it becomes 1/2. So let's go back. Let's go back to that 35 60ths. What are we going to reduce 35 60ths by? 5. So 35 divided by 5 is
7.
60 divided by 5 is
12.
So it reduces down to 7/12. And we already filled in a chart. Then it says explain why 1/6 of an hour plus 1/3 of an hour equals a half an hour. Well, what's 1/6 of an hour? How many minutes is that? 1/6 equals how many minutes? Go over and look in your chart.
1,
5? Huh?
10.
So 1/6 equals 10 minutes. 1/3 equals how many minutes?
1/3 equals 20.
20 minutes. So 10 minutes plus 20 minutes equals 30 minutes. And isn't 30 minutes a half an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And they have all those lines, and we're just going to explain it with our numbers. Explain why 1/12 an hour plus 1/2 of an hour equals 7/12 of an hour. Well, 1/12 is how many minutes? 5 minutes. 1/2 of an hour is how many minutes? You guys should know that with it.
30.
30. A half an hour is 30 minutes. So 5 plus 30 is 35 minutes, and you put that over 60, and we reduce that, which was right up here,
7.
reduced it by 5, and you get 7/12. That's all of our explanation. Go ahead and turn the page when you have it written, finished written. So last week, we did a lot of IXLs, trying to find common denominators, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we also try to find the least common denominator. We're always doing that. We worked on those because it works up into today's lesson, okay? And having that information will help us. When we were adding and subtracting like fractions, sometimes we left it going across, right? But today, they're all gonna be unlike fractions, so you're gonna need to write them up and down. I'm going to show you some things that I'm gonna write down in, and I want on the board, I want you to write it in your book, because it'll be different than the way they show you. Okay, do you guys understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says, to add or subtract fractions with different denominators, rename the fraction using the least common denominator. That always helps when you're trying to reduce it later. Add or subtract as with like fractions, if necessary, simplify the sum or difference. You're always going to simplify it, you're always going to reduce it as far as you can, okay? Also in this lesson, you're gonna come up with some negative fractions. When we have negative fractions, we have to make sure we follow our integer rules. Okay, if you're adding and they have different signs, you just subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. If you're adding and they have the same sign, you just add and keep the sign. If you're subtracting, you do keep, change, change. Okay, always remember that. They'll also show you this on a number line. Okay, I don't care if you write it to the left or the right, you're always gonna write it by the example that I'm writing it, whatever room you have. If I have 1/2 plus 1/4, you are going to write this in your book. What's my common denominator, or least common denominator?
4.
4. Show me that this is times 2/2, so I have 2/4. I don't have to change this one, but I just want to rewrite it one more time underneath of it, just so I have everything lined up. So then I have 2/4 plus 1/4 is 3/4, and I'm done. Now the reason why I had you write that up and down is it shows us easier how to make the common denominator. But then I'm going to point out how they did it on this number line. You'll have to be able to see it on a number line. You do not have to do it on a number line. Do you guys understand that?
Yes.
Okay. You have to show it like this. Okay? So on the number line, you always start at the 0 and I go up to 1/2. Okay? And then from the 1/2 point, I add 1/4. Just like we would do with whole numbers. The difference with the number line, do you see what they split it into? How many pieces?
3.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's into fourths. Because when you're doing a number line, you have to change it to have the common denominator, which would be fourths. Do you guys understand that?
Yeah.
They give you the two fractions, but you have to come up with a common denominator to figure out what my number line is going to be broken into. Okay? Now, do you want to go ahead and scroll it for me? So let's do some of these together. You have to write them up and down. Okay? Now, you see here that they have using the least common denominator. We wrote it up and down. Do you see how this can get confusing going across?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then you just get confused. So let's just do these together. A and C. 1/6 plus 2/3. What's my common denominator going to be?
6.
So we write it up and down. Then if it's 6, I don't have to change anything here. If I change it here, I have to multiply by 2. Because 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6. Then I just add. 1/6 plus 4/6 is?
5/6.
Can I reduce that 5/6?
No.
Nope. So I'm done. Writing it up and down. 1/4 plus 3/8. What's my common denominator going to be?
8.
8. How do I get from 4 to 8?
Times by 2.
2.
So I have to do the top by 2, right? So
Yeah,
1
do
times
2
2 is 2. Rewrite the 3/8 underneath of it, so I have this all lined up, and I just have 5/8. Not so hard, right? All this background information kind of helps us out and get to today's lesson. 9/10 plus a negative 1/2. Okay, we've got negatives now. So we have to kind of be careful. So I have 9/10 plus a negative 1/2. Let's not worry about the negative sign right now. Let's just think about our common denominator, or at least common denominator. What is that going to be?
10.
10. So I'm just gonna rewrite 9/10. How do I get from 2 to 10?
Times by 5.
Times it by 5, so I have to do the top by 5. Now, that's a negative. And we're adding. So if I'm adding and one's positive, one's negative, I just subtract. So 9 minus 5 is 4/10, and I keep the sign of the bigger number, so it's going to stay positive. Am I done?
No.
Because I can
Reduce by 2.
reduce by 2.
2/5.
Very good. Show it though, even though sometimes we can do that in our head. Show me what you're dividing by so I know what's going through your head. Take a second and do D. D, negative 1/3 plus a negative 1/4. What's my common denominator?
12.
Okay. And did you show how you got to 12?
Yes.
Okay. Times it by 4/4. So I have 4/12. Times this by 3/3. 3/12. They are both negative, so I just add. So it's 7/12. But bring down that negative sign. Can I reduce that?
No.
No. Okay, look at the top of the next page. How many of you got that one right? Okay, if not, you need to fix your mistakes. Okay, I'm going to do a lot of writing over here. You need to find, you probably want to do your writing here, okay? And I want you to do all this writing. Here we have 3 fractions, right?
Yep.
Let's just start with what's in the parentheses, okay? So if I have a negative 3/4 plus 5/9, what's my common denominator going to be? Yeah. Is it 36?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to show this is times 9/9. So I got a negative 27/36 times 4/4. So that's 20/36. One's negative, one's positive, so I've got a negative 7/36. That means these two are done. Now I have to add the 7/4. So I have a negative 7/36 plus 7/4. What's my common denominator?
36.
36 again. Negative 7/36. Take this times 9, correct?
Yeah.
And 9 times 7 is
63.
63/36. One's positive, one's negative, so we subtract. Just take 63 minus 7.
50.
What is it?
50.
So it's 56, right? So I have 56/36. And you don't want to leave it like that. 36 goes into 56
Once.
once,
120, 36.
and 20 is left over.
Reduce.
Then I'm going to reduce by
4, so it'd be
4,
5/9.
5/9. So my final answer is 1 and
5/9.
5/9. Make sure you have all of that work in your book. Because now I'm going to show you another way, which is a lot easier.
Write it down too.
Follow along. You'll write it down on these next ones. I'm adding, correct?
Yep.
And isn't the rule that I can add in any order? What property is that?
Distributive.
Not distributive.
Commutative.
No.
Associative.
Associative is when I can add in any order, okay? So, if I can add in any order, I'm going to look for fractions with this common denominator. Do those two have a common denominator?
Yes.
Okay, so can I just take, so then over here I'm gonna do a negative 3/4 plus 7/4. One's negative, one's positive, so we just,
Subtract.
so 7 minus 3 is,
4.
so I have 4/4, which is actually
1.
1. I got that part done, now can I just add the 5/9 to the 1 whole?
Yep. 4 for
That
the.
is so much easier.
I've got my answer.
That was a lot easier.
Well, faster, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you have to know how to do both. So look for ones with common denominators. Let's do part E.
If it has a
Just,
common-
if it has a common denominators, you do those first, if it's adding.
Okay.
Can't do it with subtraction, because order matters in subtraction, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's only the associative property for addition. So, aren't I gonna box the two that I have in common?
Yes.
What's 2/5 plus 3/5? Can you do that in your head?
Yes.
What is it?
5/5 equals the
Okay,
whole.
so just show the lines, show the boxes. So you show that 5/5 equals 1 whole, and then show the arrow going down to 4/7. So that's my final answer, 1 4/7.
Okay.
Do F.
F.
F, yep. Do I have two that have common denominators?
Yes.
A negative 3/10 and a positive 23/10. We have a negative and a positive, so what do we do? Subtract. What's 23 minus 3?
20.
So then I have 20
Over 10.
tenths, which actually equals,
1 and 10.
Two.
no, 20 divided by 10 is
2.
2.
2. Then bring down the 5/8. So my final answer is 2 and 5/8.
I did mine a different way, but I still got the same answer.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay, I see what you did. That's fine. All right, let's go to the next example. Let's scroll up for me. These next examples are subtracting now. Remember, with integers, if you're gonna see a negative number, you need to make sure you do the keep, change, change, okay? So I want you guys to write off to the side. We're gonna write negative 2/3 minus 1/2. You need to write that down. Find a,
Common denominator.
what's my common denominator?
6.
6. How do I get from 3 to 6?
Times by
Times it by 2, so 2 times 2 is
4, 6.
4, 6. This is times it by,
2.
3.
3.
so this is a negative 4, 6. So because I have a negative, I want to say, keep, change, change. So then I have a negative 4 plus a negative 3, makes it a negative 7, 6. I cannot leave it as an improper fraction. To change it, if you forgot how to change an improper fraction to a mixed number, you take 7 divided by 6. 6 goes into 7 one time. 1 left. So it's 1 and 1 over whatever it is you divide by. Keep the negative sign. Okay, do you guys understand that? So if you forgot how to change it, here's how it is. Many of you can just do it in your head at this point. They showed it on the number line. You're starting at 0, you're going back to a negative 2/3, and if you're subtracting a half, you're still going to the left, okay? They had to find the common denominator of 6, which we already did, writing it up and down. You have to be able to see it on the number line, but be able to do it up and down, okay? Let's do some of the guided problems. I'm gonna go down. Let's do some of the guided problems. What do we want to do to start? Write it up and down. Okay, always write it up and down for adding and subtracting. Now we find, what's the least common denominator?
8.
So rewrite 5/8. Is this taking us very long to do? No, it's really not. Now, it's just subtraction, and they're both positive, so can I just do 5 minus 2?
3/8.
Yep. Can I reduce 3/8? Nope. I'm done. That's it. Let's go 3/4 minus 1/3. Writing it up and down. What's my common denominator going to be?
12.
How do I get from 4 to 12?
Times by 3.
Times it by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Take this times 4. Can I just take 9 minus 4?
Yes.
Which is what?
5/8.
Not 5/8.
Oh, 12.
5/12. Can I reduce 5/12?
No.
Nope. So you're done.
Yay.
These do not have any negative numbers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't have to do the keep, change, but look here. We got a negative number. So you're gonna wanna make sure that we do the keep, change. But don't do it until you've done your common denominators. What's my common denominator of 1/2 and 2/5? What is it? 10. So 2 times 5, so 1 times 5 is 5. This is times 2 over 2, so I've got 4/10. Now remember, this is a negative. I got it really kind of crammed together, don't I?
Yeah.
Probably too crammed. So, keep, change subtraction to addition, change the negative to a positive. So then 5 plus 4 is 9/10. Do you see how when you're getting a negative number, you have to do the keep, change. Only in subtraction, not addition. All right, let's look at our last example for the day. It's a story problem.
Yay.
Where?
It's on the next page.
Next page.
Oh.
All right, and it says choose an operation. When you're reading story problems, you have to be careful and look for the key terms, right? Like if it's all together, you're adding. If you're comparing, you're actually going to be subtracting. So it says add or subtract unlike fractions to solve real world problems. Use the table to find the fraction of the total population that has type A or type B blood. Do I need to know the fraction of O or AB blood? Nope. And because it says that has type A or B, that means I'm combining these two. You write it up and down. 21/50 plus 1/10. They did not write it up and down, so you need to write it up and down. Then we need to find a common denominator, which would be 50, so I just rewrite 21/50. Take this times 5 over 5, and I get 5/50. I'm just adding, so 21 plus 5 is 26 over 50. Now, when I reduce, I already looked, hey, they're even numbers, so what can I reduce them by? 2. Show me what you reduced by. So now I have 13/25. Can I reduce that any further?
No.
Always ask yourself, can I divide it any more? Okay, so we just walked through and talked about adding or subtracting fractions that are unlike, you can stop it, unlike fractions